Please join me in welcoming Gary Erickson.
Thank you. Now for something a little different. So on a beautiful, clear fall day in 1979, on the edge of Yosemite, I was climbing a peak called North Peak, which is behind me. And I broke a concept in climbing that's very important, and that is to keep 3 points of contact on the wall, whether it's rock or ice, at all times. So you might move one hand, and then you have 3 points of contact. Or you might move 1 foot, but you have 3 points of contact. So I'm climbing up this chute. We decided to go up this, several 100-foot chute up North Peak, my friend Bruce Hendricks and I. And we were feeling pretty good, and it was probably 55 degrees. It wasn't vertical. And I was on my pitch about 400 feet up, and I was feeling pretty good and maybe a little cocky. And I hadn't put in any protection going up, so I was now about 80, 90 feet above Bruce. So if I were to fall, I would fall not only 80 feet, 90 feet all the way to him, but I'd fall another 80 feet below him, so equaling about 180 feet. And, so I'm climbing up and move after move and feeling really good, and I whack my ice axe into the ice, and it hit some really hard ice. You can see this is very glossy ice, and my ice axe goes ricocheting off out of my hand and falls. And I watch it go down, and I realize if that was me, that's kind of what would happen to me. And it goes banging into the rocks, probably going 50, 60 miles an hour by the time it hit the rocks. But I thought, that's cool. I still have 3 points of contact. And so I kept climbing up a little more, and then something else happened. So there's a crampon. This is what goes into the ice, these really sharp points. Well, my crampon came loose. Let's see if I can do this on stage. And it ended up doing that. That wasn't very helpful. Now I'm down to 2 pieces. Now I'm down to 2 points of contact. And I'm on 55-degree ice. And so how I had to figure out the next moves was I had to hit the ice axe in and then put all my weight on this ice axe, lift out the only foot I had because this foot's not going to do anything now on the ice. Carefully move it over, kick it in, and then pull this out. And then switch hands and go over like this. So I was moving left to the rock so I could put in some protection and keep myself from falling. So I did it. I went move by move, and I can't remember how nervous I was, but I still wake up at night sometimes shivering about this situation. I'm glad I made it because I'm not sure if I'd be here. I learned a lot from that climb that day, and I want to share with you 3 lessons that I've learned from business as a founder and co-CEO and co-owner of Clif Bar, and from outdoor adventures like this one. And also, I've learned a lot from the other co-CEO and co-owner of Clif Bar, who Deborah mentioned is my wife, Kit. She's here today. Hi, Kit. I learned a lot from that climb. First, a little bit about stupidity, about youth and the development of the prefrontal cortex. I learned about adaptability. How do you adapt when something goes wrong quickly? Learned a little bit about being calm under pressure. But the lesson I want to share with you today, I will title, Plan for the Start, Not the Finish. So in my case, I didn't do a very good job of starting off with my, obviously my crampons put on the boot very well. And secondly, I didn't have this little device here that cost probably $2 called a leash. And so if I would have had that leash and I went like this and it came out of my hand, it would have stayed on my arm, and all I had to do was pick it up and start climbing again. And I've seen this happen a lot in business. I've seen people start businesses and they're so excited about the vision they have and getting that product on the market that they forget to put their crampon on right, and they forget to just spend a little money on this leash here to keep them from falling. It happened to me early on. In the early days of the company, I gave away 50% of the company without any counsel, and years later that cost the company dearly when my partner decided that she wanted out and demanded that I buy her out. And I've seen it happen in a lot of businesses, a lot of friends, startup companies, and they are in such a rush to get it out. Sometimes they take money from a private equity group or venture capital, and they don't read the fine print. And later on, it kind of all blows up. And I've literally seen it happen to several friends where their company blows up because they either don't have a shareholder agreement the way it should be, or they don't have a contract. And I feel like we made it through a lot of ups and downs without counsel. I finally did. This goes out to all the lawyers out there. I'll take my royalty check when you get that new business from this talk. But so my suggestion is to think about the start, to think about getting the foundational stuff correct, making sure you've got the leash and the crampon on right before you get going with your great idea, because a great idea can kind of overwhelm you and it's like, I want to go. And take a little time to think. Just take some time. And that's my second thought today is, for me, taking time is, for me, a long bike ride is taking some time out. Take a break from it all. Sometimes it's just a walk. For others, it could be a hike or a jog. It gives you a chance to clear your mind and think. Doing this has brought me a lot of clarity in my life. In fact, 20 years ago now, a little over 20 years ago, it was on a long bike ride that I came up with the idea for Clif Bar. I was exhausted, and I had eaten 5 power bars, and I couldn't eat the 6th one. And I thought, hey, I can make a better energy bar than this, so I did. And 12 years ago, as Deborah mentioned, I was about to sell Clif Bar to Quaker Oats for $120 million. And it was just a few pin strokes away. And I sat in my office, and I started to shake and had an anxiety attack, and starting to have an anxiety attack. I didn't know what that felt like. I don't know if I ever had one before, and I thought, I got to take a walk. I got to clear my mind. I got to get out of here. So I took a walk around the block, and halfway around the block, I decided not to sell the company. And that realization instantly made me feel free. And if it really wasn't for that walk, what if I just stayed in the office and didn't do that? Who knows? Maybe I would have sold the company, and I surely wouldn't be standing on this stage if I did. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, this sounds great, but I'm so busy, I can't take a break these days. Thinking that way is a huge mistake. Some of the most inspirational people in the world have made it a routine to take breaks in their life. Steve Jobs was known for taking long walks, and apparently Oprah has a canopy of oak trees that she sits under and meditates. Even if you don't have time to take a long walk or some trees to sit under, I have another idea that would help you take a break, and that is put this thing away. This has changed, thank you. This has changed people's lives tremendously. But for me, it became an addiction. It got so bad that even my teenage daughter was telling me, Dad, put the phone down. And then I would go on bike rides, and because of headsets, I could take calls while I'm riding my bike. Hey, how's it going? My assistant would call me, hey, you got to meet this line. I didn't go on bike rides to answer calls, but here I was doing that. And a few months ago, there was a story in Newsweek that talked about the effects of smartphones and the internet on people like you and me. They're finding that each time we check our phone or the internet, we get a jolt of energy not unlike the jolt a gambler receives when they see a card hit the table. In fact, the brains of internet addicts look a lot like the brains of drug and alcohol addicts. I was addicted. I couldn't put my phone down. And, it was that thing where, I had to just catch up on emails or, get that text in. So I quit. At least I'm trying to. And as part of my recovery, I stopped wearing my headset on my bike rides. I also make a point to put my phone away if I don't really need to use it. So, for instance, Kit and I like to come to San Francisco a lot. And one of the things we love to do here in the city is people watch. And when we go on vacation, we like to sit at a cafe and people watch. Isn't that one of the joys of life, is to people watch? Well, it's hard to watch people when you're going around town doing this. And the other thing is, it's really not fun. And I see this. Kit and I were driving through the financial district yesterday. And it's like we counted all the people that were literally crossing the street on a red light, going like this. That isn't very cool to watch. No matter how cool they look or what they're wearing and all that, this just takes it all away. So I encourage you to take a break. And the best part about all that is, without all these distractions, for me, the ideas were disappearing, and now the ideas are coming back. Lastly, the last thing I'll leave you with is, how many of you have ever said, I have a great idea for fill in the blank? Or you hear somebody else say, I have a great idea. And then that's it. That's the end of that idea. That could have happened to me. I was on that bike ride. I had that idea to make a better tasting energy bar, and I could have let that go. But thank God I didn't. I followed up on that idea, and now Clif Bar, 20 years later, we have 300 employees. We have a national brand, and I'm excited. I followed up on that idea. Wayne Gretzky, the hockey player, says, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. I think he's right. So if you have an idea, take a shot. Take 2 shots. Take 10 shots. Just follow up on it, because you never know where it's going to end up. Thanks for your time today.